What happens when a governor's wife is caught barreling drunk through a school zone at 8:15 in the morning, and then, right in the middle of her sentencing hearing, pulls out her phone and calls the governor demanding he fix this now? This 42-year-old woman is about to discover that some calls you simply cannot make, that titles don't create immunity, and that even governors sometimes choose integrity over shielding a spouse who puts children at risk. But what sets this case on fire isn't just a DUI. It's who she almost hit, what she told police, and what her husband, the sitting governor, said when Judge Caprio put him on speakerphone in front of a packed courtroom. Tell us where you're watching from, because what happens next might restore your faith that political power can't buy an escape route from accountability. It's an ordinary Thursday morning inside Providence Municipal Court. Catherine Blackwell, 42, wife of Rhode Island Governor James Blackwell, faces a stack of charges. DUI in a school zone, reckless endangerment of a minor, leaving the scene of an accident and resisting arrest. 14 days earlier, at 8:15 a.m., Catherine tore to the drop-off lane at Riverside Elementary School at 35 miles per hour, more than double the posted 15 miles per hour limit. Security cameras and horrified parents saw everything. Her Range Rover drifted into the crosswalk, missing 7-year-old Emma Chen by just 3 feet. Emma's mother, Jennifer, yanked her daughter back at the last possible second. Catherine then clipped a parked school bus before punching the gas and fleeing the scene. Parents immediately dialed 911. A crossing guard tailed her SUV until officers arrived. Catherine was stopped 4 blocks away at 8:23 a.m. When Officer David Torres walked up to her window, the smell of alcohol hit him instantly. Catherine's speech dragged. Her eyes were glassy, her coordination nearly non-existent. What she said next, caught on body cam, would dominate Rhode Island news cycles for days. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Catherine Blackwell. My husband is the governor. You're going to let me go right now or your career is finished. She refused field sobriety tests, refused a breathalyzer, threatened Officer Torres repeatedly, claimed she had diplomatic immunity. When backup officers attempted to detain her, she fought to get back into her SUV. 3 officers were needed to restrain and arrest her, even in a patrol car. The threats didn't stop. You have no idea what you just did. My husband will take your badges. At the station, she finally agreed to testing at 9:47 a.m., nearly an hour and a half after the incident. Her BAC registered .12, given the time that had passed before testing. Investigators concluded Catherine's actual BAC at 8:15 a.m. was likely .16 or higher, more than double the legal limit. Now, 2 weeks later, Catherine Blackwell steps into Judge Caprio's courtroom draped in designer labels and wearing an expression that makes it painfully clear. She believes this entire proceeding is beneath her. Her attorney, Richard Morrison, one of Rhode Island's priciest legal defenders, walks beside her. Judge Caprio watches her enter. She doesn't move like someone who nearly killed a child. She moves like someone irritated that she had to show up at all. The bailiff calls the case. Caprio reads through the long list of charges. Before he can finish, Morrison jumps in, requesting that media coverage be restricted. Judge Caprio doesn't hesitate. Mr. Morrison, your client endangered children in a school zone while driving drunk. The public has every right to witness these proceedings. The media stays. Morrison pivots, highlighting that Catherine has no criminal record, has been under immense stress, and is now in treatment. Caprio cuts him off. Mr. Morrison, your client's stress is not a legal defense. We're here because she drove drunk through a school zone and nearly killed a 7-year-old child. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, because what happens next shows exactly what unfolds when someone tries to use political privilege to escape responsibility for endangering children. Caprio turns directly to Catherine. Mrs. Blackwell, do you understand the seriousness of these charges? Her answer drips with dismissal. Yes, Your Honor, but this situation has been blown wildly out of proportion. The media is exaggerating everything. Exaggerated? Caprio lifts the police report. Mrs. Blackwell, you drove through a school zone at more than twice the posted limit, with a BAC of .12. You came within 3 feet of hitting a child. You struck a school bus. You fled the scene. You threatened officers. Those are facts, not exaggerations. Catherine shifts in her chair. Your Honor, I was on prescribed medication. I didn't realize it would interact with the wine I'd had the night before. Caprio's expression sharpens. Mrs. Blackwell, your BAC at 9:47 a.m. was .12. That does not come from wine the night before. That indicates drinking that morning. She doesn't respond. Morrison jumps in with another attempt. She has been fully cooperative. Caprio doesn't allow the sentence to finish. Mr. Morrison, body cam footage shows your client threatening officers, refusing instructions, physically resisting and claiming she had immunity. That is not cooperation. That is obstruction. He orders the body cam video played. Catherine's slurred voice fills the courtroom. Her refusal to get out of the vehicle. Her threats to end careers. Her declaration of immunity. Her attempt to fight her way back into the SUV. Several parents who were present that morning break down in tears. Caprio looks at Catherine. Do you recognize yourself in this video? Yes, but I was in shock. I wasn't thinking clearly. Mrs. Blackwell, the video shows you thinking clearly enough to threaten 3 officers with termination. That's entitlement, not shock. Caprio calls Jennifer Chen to testify. Jennifer describes holding her daughter Emma's hand while crossing the street, watching a Range Rover veer toward them, feeling the air rush past as it missed them by inches, grabbing her child in a split-second act that likely saved her life. Her voice cracks. Your Honor, Emma had nightmares for a week. She cries when we drive to school. She's 7. She's terrified. And Mrs. Blackwell has never apologized. It's like my daughter doesn't matter. Caprio turns to Catherine. Mrs. Blackwell, you nearly killed this child 2 weeks ago. Why have you not reached out? Morrison explains that legal counsel advised against contact. Caprio's tone turns cold. Mr. Morrison, protecting legal positioning does not excuse moral responsibility. Your client endangered this child. She hasn't shown the most basic form of humanity. Catherine speaks sharply. I've been advised not to discuss the incident. I'm following legal guidance. Caprio shakes his head. You're prioritizing protecting yourself over acknowledging harm done to a 7-year-old. That tells me everything I need to know. And that's when Catherine detonates her case. She reaches into her purse, pulls out her phone, and right there in the open courtroom, starts dialing. Caprio's voice slices through the room. Mrs. Blackwell, what are you doing? I'm calling my husband. This is going too far. He needs to know what's happening. A collective gasp ripples across the room. Mrs. Blackwell, put that phone away immediately. She refuses. My husband is the governor. He has a right to know when a court is treating me unfairly. Caprio's voice turns to ice. You are facing criminal charges for endangering children, and you just attempted to call your husband to intervene in judicial proceedings. That is contempt of court. She lowers the phone, but the damage is already done. She just proved exactly what she believes, that her husband's office outranks the justice system. Then Caprio makes a legendary move. Bailiff, retrieve Mrs. Blackwell's phone. Mrs. Blackwell, since you wanted your husband involved, I'm going to grant your request. We're calling Governor Blackwell right now. Catherine's face drains of color. Caprio instructs the clerk to contact the governor's office. Within minutes, the line connects. The courtroom goes silent. Governor Blackwell, this is Judge Frank Caprio. Your wife is before me for sentencing on DUI charges in a school zone. She attempted to contact you during these proceedings, so I've placed you on speaker. There's a tense pause. Then the governor speaks, steady and controlled. Your Honor, I apologize for the interruption. My wife should not have contacted me during court. Caprio continues. Governor, your wife drove drunk through a school zone at 8:15 a.m. She nearly struck a 7-year-old in a crosswalk. She hit a school bus and fled. She threatened officers. And moments ago, she attempted to call you to intervene. Are you aware of these facts? Another pause. Yes, Your Honor. I've been aware since the incident. I've reviewed the reports. I've seen the footage. I am aware of everything. Catherine bursts in. James, tell him. Tell him this is excessive. Governor Blackwell speaks straight through her interruption. Your Honor, I need to say something for the record. Caprio replies, Please proceed, Governor. What came next stunned the entire courtroom and would ultimately destroy a political career within 6 months. Your Honor, the governor says steadily, let me be absolutely clear. I'm not calling to ask for mercy. I'm not asking for special consideration, and I am not intervening. Catherine's eyes go wide. What I am doing, he continues, is supporting whatever decision this court makes. My wife endangered children. She drove drunk through a school zone during morning drop-off. She nearly struck a 7-year-old girl. She threatened officers. None of this is defensible. Judge Caprio leans forward with a question everyone needs answered. Governor, are you asking this court to show leniency because of your position? Absolutely not, Your Honor. I'm asking you to treat her exactly like any other defendant. Her last name doesn't grant immunity. Her marriage to me doesn't erase her actions. She endangered children whose parents believed that school zone was safe. Catherine whispers urgently into the phone, panic rising. James, what are you doing? Stop, please stop. Governor Blackwell hears her, but doesn't break stride. Catherine, I told you 2 weeks ago to take responsibility. I told you to apologize to the Chen family. You refused. You didn't listen. The room falls still. Catherine begins to cry softly. The governor's tone shifts, steadier but emotional. Your Honor, if the Chen family is present, may I address them directly? They are. Judge Caprio replies. Go ahead. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, the governor begins, I want to apologize on behalf of my family. My wife's choices endangered your daughter. She showed no care for Emma's safety. She didn't check on her. She didn't reach out afterwards. That behavior is shameful, and I am deeply, deeply sorry. Jennifer Chen's tears spill over. Her husband wraps an arm around her as the governor continues. I have 2 children. The thought of anyone driving drunk through their school zone makes me physically sick. What my wife did was wrong, criminal, and she should face the full consequences. Judge Caprio asks, Governor, is there anything else? Yes, Your Honor. Whatever sentence you deem appropriate, you have my full support. I will not intervene. I will not use my position to shield her from accountability. I've spent my career fighting for equal justice. I can't stand on those principles publicly and then privately ask for exceptions. He takes a deep breath. Your Honor, I also want to inform the court that I'm not seeking re-election. The decisions I need to make for my family are not compatible with the demands of public office. The courtroom erupts. Catherine looks like her legs might give out. Judge Caprio raises a hand to restore order. Governor Blackwell, thank you for your candor. The call ends. Catherine is left standing alone. No shield, no lifeline, no political safety net. Judge Caprio's voice is sharp and decisive. Mrs. Blackwell, your husband just asked this court to treat you like any other defendant. That is precisely what I intend to do. Then comes a sentence. Thorough, crushing, and justified. For DUI in a school zone, a $5,000 fine, 1-year license suspension, 2 years with an ignition interlock device and mandatory treatment. For reckless endangerment, $3,000 fine and 200 hours of community service with drunk driving victim organizations. For leaving the scene, $1,000 fine. For resisting arrest, $500. For threatening officers, $1,000. For contempt of court, $2,000. A pause. Total monetary penalties, $12,500. He continues. Restitution for school bus damage, $2,300. Emma's therapy costs, $1,500, and ongoing. Mandatory apology letters to the Chen family, the officers, the parents, and school staff. 3 speaking engagements at local high schools. Total financial impact, $16,300 plus continuing costs. Her attorney jumps to object. Judge Caprio shuts him down immediately. Mr. Morrison, your client drove drunk through a school zone at 8:15 a.m. She was going 35 in a 15 miles per hour zone. She came within 3 feet of killing a child. She hit a school bus. She fled. She threatened officers. And she attempted to call the governor during sentencing. Every consequence is proportional. The sentence stands. As Catherine is escorted out, she passes a Chen family. Jennifer holds Emma's picture. Catherine walks by without looking, without apologizing, without a word. Michael Chen rises. Your Honor, my daughter is 7. She loves school. She loves walking while holding her mother's hand. Mrs. Blackwell nearly took that away. And even today, she couldn't look at us. But you made sure she understands that our daughter matters, that being married to the governor doesn't erase the danger she caused. Thank you. Judge Caprio nods. Mr. Chen, Emma has always mattered. This court simply ensured Mrs. Blackwell finally learned that. Within hours, the audio goes viral. The governor's statement is everywhere. 3 days later, he announces the separation. My wife's behavior was unacceptable. Her refusal to take responsibility is unacceptable. And her belief that political connection should erase criminal actions is unacceptable. I cannot lead with integrity while staying married to someone who believes our last name grants immunity. For months later, the separation becomes divorce. Catherine begins community service with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Week 1, silent, bitter. Week 8, she meets a mother whose 6-year-old was killed by a drunk driver in a school zone. The parallels hit her like a punch. Week 12, she organizes a memorial event. She reads the names of children. She sees shattered families. She realizes Emma Chen's name could have been one of them. She finishes her 200 required hours. She writes real apologies. She speaks at 3 high schools. At the last one, a student asks, if you could go back, what would you change? Catherine breaks. If I could go back, I wouldn't have driven through that school zone. But most of all, I would have stopped. I would have checked on Emma. I would have apologized. I would have taken responsibility instead of running. 8 months later, she finally faces a Chen family. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, I drove drunk through your daughter's school zone. I nearly hit Emma. I didn't stop. I threatened officers. I tried to use my husband's position. I was wrong about all of it. I'm sorry. Jennifer's response is calm but heavy. I appreciate your apology. But understand this. I'm not forgiving you because you suffered consequences. I'm forgiving you because my daughter needs to see that forgiveness is possible. But I will never forget pulling her back in that split second. I will never forget thinking I was about to watch my child die. Don't ever forget that moment either. A year later, Catherine completes every requirement. She continues volunteering. She learns that respect isn't inherited through a last name, and protecting children matters more than protecting reputations. Governor Blackwell finishes his term and walks away from politics, choosing his kids over power. When asked if he regrets it, he always answers the same way. I don't regret choosing integrity over protection. I don't regret standing for equal justice. And I don't regret showing my children that principles matter more than privilege. Don't forget to subscribe for more courtroom stories where political power meets accountability. If you believe calling your governor husband during sentencing reveals true entitlement, hit like and let us know whether Governor Blackwell made the right choice. Catherine Blackwell entered court convinced her husband's position would save her. She called expecting rescue. Instead, she heard him demand equal treatment. She heard him announce he was leaving politics. She heard him choose Emma Chen's life over shielding his wife. That single phone call ended a marriage, ended a career, and finally taught her that some things matter far more than power. That is justice. That is integrity. That is a legacy of Judge Frank Caprio.